Yep, I think I'm streaming. I'm streaming. Okay, so what are we doing today? I've done a little bit of work offline. Some of it's been a little frustrating, to tell you the truth. Been working with Blender, doing some 3D work. Connect and reconnect today. Okay. So, normally you want to give it a minute or two to dial in. Okay. Alright, things are working. So now we're streaming. Okay, so where we're at today. Today is going to be ink, and I've kind of made the command decision to do things the Blender way. So that means two things. Number one, I'm going to go ahead and ink this thing in Blender, even though I was kind of leaning towards doing more of that in OpenTunes. The other thing is, I'm using more of a 3D mentality approach to a lot of it, where I'm using Control D to create polylines and then sculpt them over time. So you'll see what I mean. But so, and here's why. The reason why is, if you watch the scene, let's hit the A key. So we got this camera move. Actually, I should turn off the ink layer that I started. Okay, so we got this camera move where Ninja 1 comes in, then Ninja 2 comes in. He bumps this table, and like I said, I did this vase in 3D. Boom. And in fact, from what you can see here, the vase is rotating too soon. Okay, so right here, this is one of the things that was frustrating me. I used the extrapolation mode in the function editor in the project where I created the vase, so that I have a rotation of an empty. Actually, I have an empty that's a controller, and then a child empty that's the rotation, and well, actually, that's the tilt, and then a third empty that's the rotation. So you got rotation, tilt, and then a controller empty. So anyway, in the project where I created this vase, I edited the function keys to show extrapolation, basically infinity. When I brought it in here, I wanted to actually start the rotation later. So really what I wanted was a flat line on the rotation empty, and then have one keyframe of rotation, which then extrapolates forever. And for some mysterious reason, working in Blender today, the function curve for the vase literally would not show up in the function editor. Even though I grabbed the right channel, it was the Z axis, and the channel was showing up in the function editor. I couldn't get to, and I like wasted half an hour just poking and prodding, trying to get to the function curve, you know, to edit it. So that was a little maddening, frankly. But anyway, so the basic thought here is, first of all, there's probably going to be another in between right there. Number two, we need to speed up this camera move, because basically he stands still like a statue for probably an eighth of a second, and we really don't want to notice that. So the way we can fix that is to simply edit the camera. Let's go ahead and grab the camera and look at its keyframes. Got to get into Dope Sheet. Okay, and let's see what we got going here. So the camera, we got a camera move, and then that key is locked, and then we got another move here. So from here to here. So what I'm thinking is, if the camera move started just a little bit earlier, so is this the wrong key that I'm editing? It might be. Nope, that's the right key. Okay. Boom. And then I think I want the camera to land on this guy. Yes, that looks better. Okay, let's play that back in real time, see what we got. Yeah, now it seems more fluid. Okay, so then as you can see from the top view, his elbow, boom, hits the table, and that's when the vase should start rotating. So that'll be easy to fix later, since I think I'm going to just trace the vase actually in 2D as opposed to like rendering it with Freestyle or something. So you could do it either way. Okay, having said that, because we have a 3D camera move, it's a little problematic um, to get we would put it this way. If I did this in OpenTunes, I would either have to exactly match the camera move in 3D space, which is going to be pretty hard, or I have to animate a lot of keyframes where the character is being scaled and all this sort of stuff. And so it's like, why would I want to do that? So instead, what I'd rather do is just go into the front view, and I'll turn this back on, and just do the inking here in the front view, and then the camera move will make sense. So there we go. So there's the ink, and frankly, a lot of this action here is off camera, because when I animated this, I knew that this move where he gets into position probably was not going to be, in the shot. So you can see up here in the right hand corner the actual camera perspective really doesn't start picking up this guy until about here. But, you know, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the ink anyway. So that's where we're at. So if I ink this whole thing, basically zooming in here and really putting the detail in there, then the camera move, it'll all make sense when it's back in the 3D space. Or I should say from the camera's perspective. Okay, so step one is to grab Akari and hide her. It's not going to help us to have her in the way. Okay, and then just for my enrichment, I'm going to switch to grease pencil instead of dope sheet, so that I can actually see the keys for the grease pencil. So now I'm probably going to go a little bit on the quiet side, because what I'm going to be doing is just inking. And so we got to go D tab, get into so what I'm going to do, what was I trying to say? I was trying to say get into edit strokes mode. Okay, I want to grab connected, so that only, see what I'm doing there? So that way I can grab this, move it over here, and then give that a little bit of a divot. No comments, good. That's not good that there's no comments, but it's good that I'm not missing something. Usually when people make comments, I try to respond in a timely fashion. Okay, so again, that's kind of a quick move, but at the end of the day, you're actually not going to even see it. Not going to be in the show. So okay, now I'm going to go projected. So like I said, I'm using a little bit more of a Blender centric approach here, where I'm going ahead and doing more sculpting and stuff, as opposed to like redrawing everything in a more traditional manner. Just because it seems like these hands, for example, I just took this, selected linked, and then duplicated it and flipped it on the x-axis to get this hand, because that's basically what the guide drawing said was supposed to be there. So alright, so now we gotta go probably this, and I'm gonna copy that stroke and paste that in there. And I'm thinking if I hit the period key, so I'm centered on the cursor, and do a little rotation, it's probably going to be like that. Now we really want to be, boom. Okay, so what is that erroneous stroke? I'm just going to go like that, like that, like that, and like make it useful. Okay, so okay, don't know what I'm going to do with this ponytail at this point, but I do think, okay, now I'm going to go to projected so that it grabs all these strokes as a group, and actually strike that. I'm going to go ahead and go into sculpt mode. So let's go grab. That's cool. Okay. I think that's pretty much happening. Okay, so now we got to get into the next keyframe. Okay, so in this shot, okay, like I said, we're just going to sculpt it, so to speak. I'm using the proportional editing tool, but you could think of it as a sculpting operation, even though it's not technically a grease pencil sculpting operation. So I'm going to grab this, and let's hit the comma, go. Let's expand that region of influence a little bit so that that comes up to there. And then as you can see, his whole head's got to move. So let's go ahead and do a slight rotation. Move it over here. Basically not too bad. We got a little bit of a discrepancy here, which is going to cause us problems when we go to fill things. So I'm going to hit the O key twice to turn off proportional editing, and then I'm actually going to hit the S key and size it to 0. Now what I could have also done is joined the two, Control J in my case, but see, it caused that problem, so I don't really want that. So it's just as good in this case to just bring them together. So boom, 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 boom. Feels like his arm's losing a little bit of mass there. So let's try to fix that. Feeling like his elbow should be a little further out. Okay, and then of course we can always add some details with the marker. Okay, so now in order to kind of maintain the integrity of this key, I want to put my cursor there, and up we want proportional editing back on. Let's rotate that up. We got a stray, see that right there, stray point. That doesn't work. Okay, unfortunately I can't get the level of control on the deformation I want, so I'm going to go ahead and select more of it so I can turn the range down, and then that lets me do this. And that, if you want to dial in keyframes kind of quickly with Blender, that's probably one of the best ways to do it for sure. Alright, so what do we got here? Okay, so as long as we're here and we're adding keyframes, why not just take this whole thing and shift it like that? Then obviously here we have a little bit of a problem. So let's turn that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and move that particular point down. So we probably want to go connected only at this point. Darn it. Hopefully I'll grab the right point. So you can see we kind of have a little bit of a problem there. I'm going to go ahead and delete that point and see if it does what I hope it's going to do. Nope. It's funny, I had a, unless I'm insane, I had a connected area earlier where I deleted the point and it just took the point out. Left a hole. Here, I delete the point and what's it do? Keeps reconnecting it. Okay, so I'll hit Control J. There we go. So we're not, actually, let's go back a couple steps because I need those points in there. Alright. So let's kill that point and then hit Control Shift J so it's no longer cyclic. And that way we can extend that right there. And again, because this goes by really fast, we can probably get away with that for this particular keyframe. All of the, like the wraps that he's wearing around his arm, I'm going to go ahead and that'll be painted in, frankly, probably after I do color, actually. So let's keep going. Is proportional editing on? Yes, but it's in connected mode and I want projected now. Okay, so I'm going to take this whole batch of stuff. Nope, don't like that. So I'm going to grab the whole, it's the whole arm that I want to move. Okay, that was done. Let's try that again. Grab this. That's cool. What's going on with his face? Looks a little distorted. So, like I said, there's stuff we can get away with depending on the OBS related pointers, how to reduce the frequency with which OBS disconnects. But as you who are watching right now can see, every once in a while OBS decides to just disconnect. Okay, so we have another problem actually. I just realized we have a problem. Yep, we got actually a major flaw. So we got to go back and fix it. Probably something like that. Okay, so now here, this should indicate the wrap there. So that's better. This is lame. This isn't going to work at all. Now that's too much still. Okay. That'll work. Cool beans. That won't work. So I've probably got a bunch of keyframes here I'm going to have to go through and fix. Unfortunately. It happens. Yep. So that's cool. We got that. Now, what do we want to redraw versus repurpose? Rotate that a little bit. Go. Okay. Obviously that's got to be smoothed a little bit. Looks kind of stupid. I guess I'm not in smooth mode, I'm in grab mode, but that's okay. That did the job. Alright, so this, let's get rid of these strokes completely. Boom. That way we can just go, actually let me see if this is a, yeah, this stroke has tons of points, so let's do it this way. Let's go like this. This is kind of a fun way to work sometimes. See what I'm doing? I'm just grabbing the points and essentially rebuilding the shape just like as if it was 3D geometry basically. Okay. So I mean, you know, it was a pretty quick keyframe right there. Alright, and now we need to go put this line in here for the wraps, and I think it's pretty good. He's starting to come into the scene, so now we gotta, you can see here the camera move that's happening. So we can't be so sloppy. Starting now. Alright, what do we got here? Well, looks to me like his whole anatomy could just be shifted. So let's turn up that range of influence a little bit. So we want his hands to kind of sort of stay where they are, but not really. Okay, so now let's grab this. Yeah, I don't like that. I feel like there's some stray, there might be some stray points selected. Okay, go. Oh, I know. Let me hit the comma key and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, that's better. A little more predictable result. Okay, so now I got to sculpt this, obviously. So I'm going to hit the E key. We'll just sculpt that into shape. Hey, that's how people that are diehard Blender grease pencil fans, that's how they do it. And OBS has failed again. OBS is disconnecting like every 2 minutes. So if you don't like that, I'm really, really sorry. I wish it didn't do that, but it's kind of stupid today. And because I want to stay focused on the job here, I'm not really wanting to like, I just like blew at least an hour just a little while ago just fighting with Blender, because, and I'm sure it's all my fault. Sure, it's all my fault. But the you know, the function editor, I'm like completely unable to access the function curves, and just stupid stuff that I've never seen happen before happened today. So it's like, okay, do I want to sit and fight with this? And I'm going to be Mr. Blender Guru. I'm going to figure out all the weird, you know, really obscure and arcane ways of working, because what's going on here makes perfect sense. Actually, I just don't know the software well enough. That's probably true. But hey, I've been using Blender for 20 years. 20 years. Okay? And I saw some behavior today that I've never seen before. And this is with Blender 2.79. It's pretty stable, you know. So my point with this little semi-rant was that I spent a bunch of time fighting Blender today, so I don't want to spend a bunch more time fighting OBS, trying to figure out why OBS is wanting to disconnect and reconnect a lot. So, kind of sucks, but there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to redraw this thingy-dingy. So like I said, we need to be a little more exacting about it now. One question that comes to mind, though, actually is, I should double check this. Watch, it'll turn out that this little pointed part on his headband is actually supposed to be pointing down, not up. Can you believe I wouldn't remember that? I'm serious, I don't remember. I'm doing yeah, I'm gonna ignore that. That doesn't matter. I just gotta check this guy's costume. Yep, I was correct. It's pointing down, which makes sense. It's supposed to be evil. So that means I drew it the wrong way. What are the odds? What are the odds? Okay, can we fix this kind of sort of quickly? I think so. Let's do it like this. Let's just kind of squash that down there and then hit it really hard with the smoothing tool. Okay, and then let's take this, bring it right down between his eyes like that. Boom. And again, smoothing tool. And that's actually just a little too aggressive, I would say, on the... But, yeah, there you go. Okay, so it's kind of a bummer that through this entire sequence, that's wrong. I think the easiest way to deal with that is to just delete the strokes, and we'll go back and redo them. Yep. Gotta watch those details, man. Gotta watch those details. Oh, there's nothing to be done for it now. So, how many keyframes do I have here? Going all the way back to the beginning of the animation. I have to go back and delete all of these strokes. Well, I tell you the truth, folks, that's how this day has been going. It has been really not a fun day. It's like when I'm drawing. If I'm drawing and just animating and working out timing, no problem. Once you got to do something like I was doing in Blender, which is dealing with 3D, CGI, function curves. A lot of times that's not problematic. But today it was. Today it was just like beating my head against the wall trying to... well, another thing that happened was I bring the texture that's supposed to be mapped to the vase, I bring that into Blender's UV editor, and I unwrap the mesh, which if you guys use Blender, you know, there's nothing to it. You unwrap the mesh, and then you go to the UV editor, and then you drag the points around and, you know, get it to map to your model the way you want to. And today, and I'm sure this is normal behavior, but today, for the first time that I've encountered, the UV editor the points of the geometry were not selectable. Okay, so maybe there's some little button I need to push to make them selectable. That turned out to be exactly the case. It's a menu option. But then I stopped and I'm thinking, what I often think when I run into stuff with software that seems a little weird to me is, okay, under what circumstances would this be desirable behavior? I guess I'll do that. Turn this off. And I'm doing a straight line, baby. So, like I said, I'm sure there's a scenario where it makes perfect sense that you would want to unwrap some geometry, jump into the UV editor, but not be able to select the vertices. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just like a viewer mentality. Sometimes you just want to check it. Okay, but if it's selectable, you can still check it. So what is gained by having a scenario where it's impossible to grab the vertices when you go into the UV editor, you know, UV/image editor? I can't fathom where that would be a useful feature. But I'm sure there is. I'm just not seeing it today. Okay, probably what I really should be doing right now is grabbing this. I probably should. Okay. Like, that's another example of what I'm talking about. It's just a blenderism. If a point is selected and you hit Control and drag with your left mouse, a lot of the time it goes into this, I don't even know what it's doing actually. It does this mode where there's like a guideline that flashes on the screen and everything is locked to a certain axis or something of that nature. I don't even know what it's doing. And it does it, and now I go to reproduce it. What it looked like it was doing is, if you have a point selected and you hit Control drag, I know what it is. I'll bet you I know exactly what it is. If there's a point selected and you drag and then hit Control. Yes, that's what it is. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging and then hitting Control instead of, see, now I can't get it to do it. But now if I hit Control then drag, I can do the selection, which is what I was trying to do. Select linked, Control C. All right, Control V. Let's just say slight rotation, slight translation. Control V. Big rotation, big translation. Control V again. That's not quite it. And we're going to have a gap here, which is going to be problematic. So let's go ahead and grab this. Select linked again. Control C. Go to the next frame. And I think we're getting to the point, yes, where we really need to redraw it. So I'm going to go ahead and kill those strokes. So now okay, I'm thinking that O key needs to be on, so I can go like this, a little bit pointier, and then I'm going to take the smoothing tool and just smooth that out. So I shouldn't complain. I mean, it's cool that I can go ahead and do the vase in 3D, because it definitely makes it easier. See if that was there. We'll grab these guys, stretch them out. That one can just be condensed back. And let's go ahead and grab these. Select link, Control C, Control V. So got a little rotation going on. Go here. So what am I at? I'm at frame 27. I'm thinking, yeah, there's quite a few that I inked, so I'll go ahead and Control V. I'm just going to ballpark it. Control C. Control V. Yep, I'm going to ballpark it and then go in and clean it up. Clean it up meaning get the close the edges. Alright. See, and this is going to come up a lot if I'm not careful, so those have to go all the way, otherwise obviously it won't fill correctly. Go. Rotate. Go. Slight smoothing tool. Alright. Control ++. X, kill those points. That little bit of a bleed over isn't going to matter. That's okay. That, however, is not going to be okay. So, X, kill those points. And you can always grab 2 points like this and hit the S key and just scale them together so they meet perfectly. It's not a bad way to do it. Here, I'll just drag them over. Anything going on in chat mode? Doesn't look like it. That's looking okay. That's probably fine. That's definitely not fine. So we'll get those lined up. Control plus lets you select adjacent points along the way, along the stroke, I should say. Okay, yeah, so now we're into... Alright, so let's just see what we have. Let's save early, save often. Kill these guys. And see what we have. Okay, that... I don't really like the distraction of that, but basically that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Not bad. I wonder what that is. Let's go to the camera view and see. What is that? Go back here. Let's see where it appears. It appears back over here. Ah, here's what's going on. This is classic Blender. The Blender. Classic Blender. Alright, so I'm screwed basically. When I started working on this, I was meticulous about hitting Control. In my case, it's a hotkey, Control Shift Alt minus. That sends the cursor to the geometric center of the 3D space. It'd be the same as hitting Shift S and clicking Cursor to Center. And the reason I do that is so that when I draw, I can know for a gospel fact, as you can see, and that my drawing is being placed, my grease pencil strokes are being placed in a known location. It wouldn't have to be the center, but it needs to be a known location. However, the one thing you must never do, ever, never do, is click anything, anywhere with your left mouse button. Don't do it. If you click anywhere and don't realize that you clicked, especially if you're in a different view, the cursor moved, and guess what? The very next strokes that you draw are going to be in the wrong place. So those headbands that I drew just a little bit ago, they're all in the wrong place. How do we fix that? Well, I will tell you. Thank goodness, I will give Blender credit. There is a way to fix it. Yeah, it's screwed up all throughout. So I've got to go back to the beginning. And like I said, I have to say, this is how today has gone. It is endless stupid stuff that is keeping me from just getting the work done. You know, I'm fighting with Blender because I got to reproject all my strokes through all those keyframes. Yikes. So here's how you do it. Might as well, we'll turn this into a teaching moment, okay? So I'm going to hit the A key to select all my strokes, and I'm going to reproject planar. Now, that was probably a bad idea, because was I in fact at the center? No, I was not. Don't ever reproject planar unless you first make sure that Shift Control period. Now let's look at it. It's still not right. So that means the hotkey is not working. Yes. Yeah, you can map your grease pencil strokes to whatever you want to map them to. What I do is I just always map them to the center. It's a known, and it's always the same. Okay, so is it Shift Control this period, the delete key? Let's find out. Okay, so there you go. So yet another thing that's going on today that's bizarre. I have mapped a hotkey, Shift Control period. I'm looking real close here. My eyes aren't what they used to be, but that sure looks like Shift Control period to me. But there's only one little itsy bitsy problem. It doesn't work. Okay. So that means I get to click every time. Yep, that worked. Okay, so now, here we go again. Click. I'm like a Macintosh user now, like an Apple guy. Everything's about clicking. There's no hotkeys. There's no using the keyboard. Everything's about clicking. We love to find icons and click them. Oh, it's pretty bad. I'm gonna get some flame here, probably because, you know, it's not like there's a lot of people who use Blender on an Apple computer. But I've always see what we have to fix? Ah! I've always been a bit dubious of that one button mouse, frankly. Doesn't really work for me, and everybody I ever knew that used a Mac, everything's about clicking. They seem to like having to go through multiple windows and buttons, you know, to click stuff. I never understood that. Fortunately today there's more parity between software, you know, like Blender on the Apple platform, probably ever since OS X, which is obviously Unix under the hood. Okay, I think we're in good shape here. Alright, so let's turn it this way so we can see what we've done. Let's freaking redraw the thing. Just forget it. Just redraw everything. Or is it faster to sort of edit things and, you know, tweak them into shape? And the answer is, it depends. It really depends. Okay, so that looks okay. But now we gotta move. He's moving his arms. So let's do this. Let's grab it this way and select linked. So we've got this whole section. I'm going to put a shoulder right there. Now I clicked with the left mouse button, but that's okay. Here's why. It's still on the 0 plane. As long as I'm in front view, I can click with the left mouse button. It's not going to do any harm. If I were to click with the left, probably that's what I did. I probably had my mouse over this camera view and clicked, and that screwed it up. So anyway, onward and upward. So what I've done was, I'm going to use the proportional editing tool. Actually, I don't even... Yes. I want to put it on... I could put it on connected, but since I selected all the points, I'll leave it on projected 2D and just turn it off for the moment. Okay, so that means I can do a slight rotation here and a slight move, and then just adjust that one point, maybe that point too, and we got our move. It looks like this arm didn't really move. It looks like his head maybe moved a little, So I got to reselect it because I had a stray point selected. So I'm going to hit select linked, put the center here, kind of sort of where the base of his neck would be, and then drag these points around just a little bit. And then we want to be a little careful about having closed shapes and stuff, but it looks like for this frame, the only other issue would be this, which I'm going to hit Control plus and hit the W key and subdivide this twice. That way I can put a couple more control points in here. Move those around. So yeah, no big deal. So that's why I said I'm doing this kind of more like I'm just treating it more like 3D geometry today. Okay, I need to hit the period key so that the rotation is centered on that axis I just created. And then I'm going to turn on the proportional editing tool again. Okay, I always have to switch it back to here because it seems like the way that it interpolates is a little funky if you've got it centered on the cursor instead of the center of mass, I guess you'd say. Okay, so select link. We'll turn off proportional editing. I'm just going to rotate that a bit and move it down. So yeah, that's actually working. This is boogered for sure. Right there. Okay. Now, according to the sketch, his head moved. So we gotta honor the sketch. And the way we're gonna honor the sketch is okay, let's turn proportional editing back on. So again, I do complain a lot, but it is nice that we have tools like this to be able to do this type of editing. That looks pretty good. I really don't need my I guess we want only render. This makes it a little easier to see. Okay. Now, I would point out that when this is actually rendered, he is very small on the screen, so that's why the detail in the hands is not actually that important. Okay, I'm going to hit Control-Shift-minus just to make sure that I am, in fact, having my cursor centered at the world center. Now I'm going to do a rotation move here. Okay. And now I'm going to do the similar thing. Whoops. Okay, there was what I was just talking about. That's what I mentioned earlier. Okay. I did Control and left mouse, and it's moving stuff. Whereas what I really wanted to do was go like that. So it seems like, yeah, it's weird. If you hit Control and left mouse right exactly at the same time, it goes into a, I think it's a grid locked move. Okay, and actually, I don't even know why I'm messing with this, because that hand needs to be redrawn at this point, because his hand opens up. Okay, so cool. Drawing is less stressful because you just have to draw. We'll group those two fingers together. Alright. Like so. Probably need to have a little bit of a gap there. And more of a gap there. Okay. Not bad. Now I should be able to grab all these guys, put a shoulder there, rotate that up. You see how it's, yeah, comma key. Well, wait a second. Strike that. Strike that. I guess we just need to select that. Okay, and actually I'm going to redo the selection because I don't want, and I do want that, and I'm going to select linked, and I'm turning proportional editing off. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Play the guitar on the MTV. Alright. Remember that song? I remember, man, they played that video like a lot. Because it was pretty much the first real CGI. At the time, it was considered super cool. State of the art CGI. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, look up Dire Straits' Money for Nothing video and educate yourself. Okay, so actually what I think I want to do here is go select linked. Okay, that's really not what I wanted to do. Can I? Okay. So I guess what I'll do is go like this, put a point there, and see what happens. Ah, not bad. Not bad, not bad. Okay. And why don't we go ahead and just see if we can fine-tune this as well. Give him a little bit of wrist action. Okay, now, drawing time. Erase, erase, erase. Unfortunately, I got to tweak that line in order to get rid of that stray line. Double checking here and here. Okay, so that's fine. We can do that. Probably can fix this real quick with the smoothing tool. Yep, the smoothing tool does the job. I'm going to grab these three guys right here, and I'm going to turn proportional editing off and hit the S key. Okay, I need to make sure comma's selected. Just scale those together so they operate as a unit, essentially. Looks like I've got a bad stroke there. And that would be the edge of the floor, so I guess we're in good shape with that. Proportional editing back on. Let me see how. Okay, that might be done better with the grab tool, but I think we're okay. I think we're okay. So what I'm going to do is grab one point on his head. Do a little rotation. Little move. Little move. Alright. And yeah. So in point of fact, we can just kind of reverse what we just did. And in this case, you know what? I'm sick of geometric editing. I'm just going to redraw it. Sick of geometric editing. Whoops. Okay, that's got to be like that, like that, like that. Okay, now there is an important detail here to be aware of about this guy's hands. In that he has these kind of cut off glove things going on, and I don't want to forget about those. Okay, so basically, for our purposes, you've got lines across here. Frankly, it belongs all throughout. I'm going to dispense with that at the moment, though, because I think there might be some easier ways to work that in as we go forward. Maybe at the paint stage. Okay, so one issue I do see is that line right there is obviously stupid looking. So proportional editing off. And I wish it was just a single line, but it's not. So I'm going to go like, I'm going to actually click here and then go and delete those points so that I can grab just this one point and just adjust it that way. Okay. Okay, wow. So seriously, you're telling me that that was in two places? Okay. Well, let's do it this way. Smoothing tool. Inio-san. I just got in, don't know much about Blender. Is this like a 2D animation project? Yes, my friend. This is a 2D animation project. This is what we have so far. Okay? We have this scene where you got some birds flying by the Tibetan monastery. There she is sleeping. This is our hero. But there's these ninja dudes that are climbing up the wall. Okay? And as you can see, there's bad stuff gonna happen. And so he's struggling a little bit, and oopsie poo. There's actually a soundtrack too, but I guess you guys can't hear it right now. So she flips over. Come on, dude, let's get moving. They climb up there, but she is actually aware of them. Okay, so some stuff's going to go down. All right, so then this scene actually, just give you the recap here. I need to be in object mode. I'm going to select all and hit Alt H so that Akari is not hidden. You got to ignore this vase, unfortunately. Inio-san. So this is what happens next. He knocks this vase, and then this guy jumps over there to get the vase. So really that layer should be turned off so that when it plays back you don't see that. So he comes in, his elbow, boom, hits the table, that starts going, and then he rushes to grab the vase, at which point obviously the rotation needs to stop. So anyway, so we're at the point of inking. Thank you, sir, I appreciate that. I'm assuming Inio is a man's name. It might be a girl. So if I indicated wrong, I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm trying. So anyway, normally this would be being, I should show you this as long as I've got a new person here. Okay, you're a man, good. Alright, so I should show you this. The bulk of this project has not been, I mean, the original sketches and pencil tests were done in Blender, but most of it was done in OpenTunes. Okay, so you can see this is all the shots in OpenTunes, all of which consist of fairly complicated sub-X sheets with all kinds of layers of different things. So and then post-production effects, so that when you're in, when you render it, there's glows and things like that. So most of the work's been done in OpenTunes, but this scene, because it has a 3D camera move like that, it's going to be really hard to reproduce that camera move accurately. So the best way I figured to do it is to go into the front view and just do the inking in Blender with the grease pencil. Okay, and that way, as you can see when we switch back to the camera, all the ink As long as I do it in the front view, everything will be where it's supposed to be so that the camera move will still work. Okay, so that's where we're at today. Object mode, I need to hide Akari. That's the girl's name, by the way. So let's select that and hit the H key. Back to front view and back to work. All right, so okay. So I don't know why that's on ones. I know why. I know what the problem is. Yeah, there's a stray keyframe right there. That does not belong in there. Okay, that's better. Yeah, because this whole thing was, other than when he does the barrel roll, this whole thing was animated on 2s. And because it's an anime, I don't want it to sort of have the aesthetic of a, you know, I'm not after the Disney aesthetic where everything's on 1s. I'm trying to accomplish, it wants to be a little choppier, okay, let's say, because it is an anime. So anyway, alright, so where are we at? Let's just do this with some sculpting. Why not? You know, as long as we can make it work, it's cool. Alright, and let's just see what gets broken in the process. Well, quite a bit just got broken. But at least we're moving forward, right? Okay, so we really don't want his thumb to be jumping around like that. So just to kind of balance that out. Yeah, that's not right. That's not good. I'm gonna generally speaking, sculpting is not as fun as drawing, and frankly, drawing is easier. Okay. So yeah, he's putting his weight down here in his hand. So let me see one thing here. Yes. So this hand goes down, so it's time to draw. We want to go ahead and actually, yes, I am going to redraw this frame, but I want to check something. I just want to make sure everything's still on the 0 plane in Y space. In the view I'm in, up and down is actually the Z axis, not the Y. Anyway, so erase, erase, erase. Erase, erase, erase. Get rid of these stray lines. Okay, so now I think I want to erase that as well. So that can be extended to there. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so his hand has got to flatten out. So this is going to come around like that. Nope. Stupid smoothing. Come on, baby. Now that's really more smoothing than I prefer. But remember, in the main view, you can see you're not really going to see the details of his hand. I mean, not only is it small, but it's also in a lot of motion. So, slight discrepancies on his fingers are not something to be too worried about. Okay, so now this. Okay, now this hand is more of a fist. And frankly, this has got to be the same. So let's just do it like that. And I kind of did it calculating how much the smoothing was going to kind of booger it up. Okay, so unfortunately we've got a... Yeah, we got the edge of his outfit missing. We can't have a missing outfit because then he'd be naked, and that wouldn't be any good. So I'm going to go like this and really reduce the size of my eraser so I can get that little stupid stray. Stray line. Okay. Cool. That's happening. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. How long we been? Man, I've been live streaming for an hour. Okay. Yeah, I'm not buying the weight of that, but frankly, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna edit that. We're getting away with murder here because we really don't see the guy until here, and the camera's moving the whole time. So honestly, until we get here, does the drawing of that hand really matter? You know, that's the question. I just spat on my screen. I'm gonna say no, it does not matter. How fast does it really go by? Yeah, you could be anal about it, I guess. But, okay, so if I'm going to be anal about it, I'll be anal about it. Then what I would do is I would use the proportional editing tool very broadly. To just move this down a little bit so that it feels like his weight is on that hand. Right there is where it's really off. So I'm gonna expand that. See, I don't like that. What I'm gonna have to do, I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this, but I'm gonna have to do it this way. I'm gonna have to give it less influence and grab more points, which is only a pain because then I have to grab it for every single frame. So the good thing is I can actually get a little bit of secondary motion going on here by doing it this way. I'm actually thinking I'm going to do a slight rotation on this as well. Come on, period key. Yeah. Same thing again. Same thing again. Not quite sure how that slipped by me, but then again, I'm not quite sure how. Okay, there's that control left mouse button thing I was talking about. Ah, come on, stray pixels. Curse you, stray pixels. That'll work. Yeah, it looks more like his weight is actually on the hand. Now it definitely has a chattery, when I go by that fast, it's got a chattery ones feeling to it. And right there's the problem. There's the problem that this type of work is prone to present. Now it doesn't come into the shot until about frame 38. So I think we got away with it, but through here it's jumping around and chattering too much from frame to frame. Like I said, we got away with it because he's not actually in the frame until 38. So, but definitely dancing with disaster there. Okay. All right. So now we got to turn our guides back on. Okay, and what we did apparently was, I'm going to use the sculpting. Yeah, I'm going to use grab. Excuse me. Okay. And I think, let me think about how this would go. Ah, shoot. It's too bad. What if I grab like this and hit the G key, but turn the influence way down? Oh, that doesn't work at all. What if I select linked first? Go like that. That I can do. Okay, so now, let's hit the D key, and I've got to erase. Big eraser. You almost always want a big eraser, but when you got one little stray point, that if you fix it, okay, how in the world did I get switched to border color? That makes me think I should check my 3D view. Yeah, okay. Just make sure I'm still on the 0 point. Alright. Holy smokes. That was confusing. Okay, so let's put this here and this here. And actually this here, let's delete that point, and now we're back to drawing. Keep accidentally touching the button on my stylus. Therefore, I'm accidentally hitting the right mouse button repeatedly. Okay, so now I'm definitely thinking that this is too big. However, that's fine. Okay, so now oh my goodness. What a day. This has been such a arduous day working on this. There's been so many things that have either gone wrong or just fighting with the software. Actually, in the process of this project, there have been a lot of days like that, but today's been exceptional. Okay, let's hit linked and rotate and go just a little bit. Okay. Gain animation, quick suggestion. When this guy's climbing over the edge, should we lower his head a little? Maybe. I'm going to defer on that idea for the moment, though. But I appreciate the suggestion. I'll look at that when I get a little further downstream here. Okay, so his headband goes here. And technically that doesn't actually make sense, but it's okay. Whoops. Let's see. Okay, that's cool. Now that's a incredible coincidence right there. That was. And we can't have incredible coincidences in the sense that things line up in ways that are, you know, coincidental. Like his mask goes right to here and then his shirt goes right to there. Usually in animation you don't want those kinds of continuities that are a little unrealistic. Okay, so now looking down at this, well, this right here is the problem with inking in Blender all the time. If you work at a certain scale, then you zoom in and you find out all is not as it seems, not by a long shot. So for that reason, I really do prefer inking in OpenToonz. And to be fair, what I could have done is I could have inked this in OpenToonz, rendered out the flat rendering from the front view, not the camera, the front view. Bring that in OpenToonz, and it's going to slide. So that's going to slide over, and now our influence is like nil. So let's crank it up, 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 up. Where is our proportional editing tool? Like I said, this is how today has gone. Look, the proportional editing tool is on, right? We see that it's on. But now, for reasons I have no idea why, see, when I rotate, it's working. But a minute ago, did you see that? I was hitting the G key, and it wasn't working. Now, it is working. Whatever. Jeez, Blender, you're driving me nuts today. Golly, gosh, holy smokes. Let's do a little sculpting. And actually, I'm going to hit the smooth tool. Okay, that looks okay. Back to the grab tool. Okay. Boom. Next keyframe. Okay, so this is where it starts to get fun, actually. This is where it gets fun. Let's raise that influence just like that. Let's go ahead and anchor his arm down a little bit. I know that these lines look a little sloppy, definitely. I mean, we're trying to get a professional result here, so we do need to be pretty critical of stuff that looks stupid, basically. Let's not have our anime look stupid. But at the same time, you do have to choose your battles. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's okay. This connected. Okay. Now these guys need to stretch down to there. And so probably here as well, I would say. Okay, now that's a little bit floofy there on the wrist. I think maybe we're going to be wanting to hit that with the smoothing tool as well. Yep, that's better. So boom, boom. Yeah, except we're losing some volume there. Now that shot, it might behoove us to actually get rid of some of the volume on these, where his arm looks thicker. But I think that's probably okay. Okay, so now I'm going to do some sculpting here. I want to get this, you know, I'm hoping I can get this to look quite a bit better. So I'm going to grab those 3 points. First of all, turn off proportional editing, just hit the S key and scale them together. That way we know we've got closed shapes, right? That's important, because if we don't have closed shapes, then when it goes, you know, time to fill it, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. So, because we're just going to have to patch stuff like crazy. Alright. So now what I'm getting at here is that when he goes like that, he's actually pushing down a little bit. So I'm thinking that this should flatten out. That should flatten out. Now I hate to have to do it, but I gotta hit the smoothing tool again. Don't like having to switch back and forth so much, but whatever. If you gotta, you gotta. Okay, so that's not bad, but this would have to be slightly lower, wouldn't it? Boom, 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 boom. Nope, right there. Come on. Boom, boom. Yep. Same thing here. Okay. That got us through to where he has another more substantial upward move. Let's see if it plays. Let's turn these guys off. Yeah, I mean, basically that works. That's what I was trying to get. That pushing down, you know, you feel the weight on his hand. Okay, keep going. Okay, so now this is going to be a big one. Grab here. Okay, let's just check. Is proportional editing turned off? I think it is. No, it's... Wait, okay. Was it or wasn't it? I don't know. Okay, I can live with that. I'm going to want to squeeze those lines together a little bit. Okay, boom. So what was I talking about? Squeezing this. I'm going to hit the S key, but then turn down the range of influence so that those come to a point. And then I'm going to just drag those up a little bit. Now I'm not sure about this line. I think this line has started to grow a little bit out of control. Now I'm going to go to the smoothing tool. And it looks like these two guys are going to have to be joined together. So let's do it this way. There it goes again. Let's hit control and make sure you hit control before you start dragging your left mouse button. Now let's go S key and just bring those two together. Okay, so now we've got a nice closed shape. Okay, so now at this point, one other factor that enters in, yeah, right here, is we need to have a line going this way because he's got this wrapping, I guess you'd say, around his waist, and frankly, this is actually suggesting that this is going to be problematic. I'm going to have to get this. Can I do that? Can I get away with that? You know, kind of, sort of. Maybe if we split the difference here and bring those two guys over a little bit, we might be able to make it play, because he does do this move fairly quickly. Yeah, I think that'll be alright. You know, is animation really all about trying to see what you can get away with? Pretty much. Okay, so we got this. That feels pretty good. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So, again, I want to emphasize, I know this hand looks stupid, but if you look at the camera move, we never see it, and the camera's moving the whole time. So it's like, boom. You know, by the time your eye even registers what's going on, you're going to be... and not only that, by the way, this all happens at night, and he's backlit. Okay. See, this hand is going to be... I've kind of forgot about that, but that hand is going to be completely in shadow. Anyway, so you have to be aware of, you know, what matters. Focus on what matters, and don't worry about the stuff that doesn't matter. Okay, so now, if you're wondering what it's going to look like after this, I'll show you right now, because I've been streaming for a while, and so maybe you haven't seen this, but this is the move he does. Okay, he does this barrel roll thing, then the camera zooms into his partner, who comes in like this and falls on his belly. Okay, so at least the stick figure aspect of it looks pretty cool. Obviously he's frozen there, but that's okay, because from the camera's standpoint, let's see, right? Okay, so then his partner kind of, boom, when he pushes his elbow forward, then this vase that's rotating will appear, because obviously it shouldn't be rotating before he hits the table, but, and then the first ninja will go and catch the vase, keep it from falling, and then the big confrontation between Akari and these guys will ensue. Alright, so that's what's going on, in case you were wondering. This guy's coming. I'm going to look at your suggestion now again, Inio-san. When this guy's climbing over that edge, perhaps he should lower his head a little as he's making an effort. So really, well, I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to play with it, but you know, I think that the movement of his weight is pretty good, in the sense that he he pushes up here and then falls over, and then of course his head falls into the scene and he falls forward as he goes into that barrel roll. So I'm gonna say at this point I'm pretty satisfied with the motion. Hey John Yip, how you doing, man? So I think my answer to your question would be that I'm gonna stick with what I have at this point. Let's just do a quick review one more time in the camera view. Whoa, no, we caught it. Oh, it's funny. Okay, back to work. So here we need to be in the front view again so that we're able to do the ink. I can tell, man, this inking is going to be nightmarish to do the fill work on. I mean, there's going to be a lot of touching up over top of it, but I got to get it blocked in Blender. Otherwise, I won't be able to map it to the camera move properly. So, now this move, it's time basically at this point to start drawing. Quit. See, look at that. Come on. The only thing I can keep out of that frame, really, is the hand. That's it, man. So, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's just do some erasing. Yeah, there we go. That stuck a keyframe in there for us. So now we can, okay, got to check something. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure, always want to make sure that my cursor is still centered so that I'm not putting grease pencil strokes in outer space without meaning to. So let's get rid of all this. And now this is going to be classic inking in Blender kind of thing. All right. This is actually what's fun. I mean, this is fun because it's relatively easy. The thing you keep learning with animation is do it the hard way, because the hard way is actually the easy way. Richard Williams says that in his book, and I think he's right. Every time you try to save time by leveraging what you already did, at least half the time, earned yourself a new sub. Thanks, man. At least half the time, it turns out it would have been faster just to redraw it. At least that's what I've found. So your mileage may vary, but that's my personal opinion, and I'm sticking to it at this point. Okay, so these fingers could be clustered together as a group. Keep in mind, look, he's not that big in the frame, and the camera's moving, and he's moving fast. So we're not going to be too fixated on the fact that we're not delineating every single finger of his hand, right? Okay, so we need this, and then this is going to be kind of bent in like that. That's he's got this wrap, remember, and then his leg's kicking up. There's his knee. Notice I'm sort of being well aware of the smoothing on my Blender ink brush. I know it's going to smooth my lines out, so I kind of have learned what I can get away with in terms of how sloppy my ink lines are. Okay, so that's cool. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I like it. We got a little spot there that is going to leak when we go to fill things. So, now I want to check my keys. I think his head should turn slightly. I am going to make a command judgment right now that we're going to begin to see his other ear. I may regret that because I'm sort of creating more work for myself. And by the way, I'm not drawing his eyes, his eyeballs, on purpose, because I'm gonna add the eyes after it's all been filled and colored and stuff. What I'm finding is you wanna basically do your inking, the broad shapes, do your fill work, and then add details over top of it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Got a band here. It kind of comes in like so. Guy's got a ponytail going on. Okay. Okay, this definitely looks more like the guy than this does. This looks like it's a cobbled together bunch of mess, actually. But to be fair, when you zoom out, it's all going pretty fast. I think we're probably still in good shape, so I'm going to stick with it. But I do think that at this point, I am going to start doing a little less sculpting and a little more drawing. You know, one of my goals today was to experiment with the inking of this more as a sculpting exercise than a drawing exercise. And I'm going to say for the most part, is it a win? Nope, it's not. It's more of a loss. I don't think the results are better. So here we go. We got to change that. So I'm going to go ahead and just start drawing these things in. Enjoy the process of, because drawing is fun. Trying to sculpt and fight with the fact that the sculpting isn't moving things quite the way you want it to, that is not fun. That is a pain in the butt. So, back to the fun way. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Plus it looks more cool, frankly, watching it on YouTube. If I was watching somebody do this, I'd rather see them drawing and, you know, checking their keyframes like this. So it's both more entertaining and more fun to do. So let's just be smart about it, right? Alright, so here we go. I'm going to draw the point from the center. Yep, look at that. That was totally accurate. Okay, now his hair is going to actually flop back behind him a bit. Okay, I guess you do have to draw the guy's eyes though, don't you? So fortunately we can zoom way in. And let's cheat. Let's go like that. Control C, Control V, and let's turn off the proportional editing tool because obviously it is not our friend at the moment. And just go like that. Alright, so do we want to do that a third time? I think maybe. Yeah, because his head's position really doesn't change. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to really cheat here. I'm going to turn proportional editing back on just to get the head kind of sort of where I want it. And then I'm going to erase and redraw some of this other stuff. Alright, so A key, draw. Get rid of all that. Get rid of this garbage. Cool. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Yeah, this was a pose that I knew was going to be a little bit challenging to pull off because it's just so foreshortened. You know, his arm is actually going backward here, and then it's super foreshortened. So fortunately, I'm kind of glad I'm kind of glad this is only lasting for one frame. Excuse me. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now we got to get this. Well, it's looking pretty good. So now what happened was his leg went ahead and kicked up there. So we got to put that in there. And he actually has this kind of a thing going on with the sandals. 136. Yeah, I like the way he really falls into that. I think I'm going to take a break. I think I'm going to stop there for now. Because there's, you know, I'm about half done with the scene. So we will revisit this later. Thanks for watching, and thanks again, John, for the subscription. Enio-san, don't know if you've subscribed, but look forward to seeing you here again. And that's it for now.